10 fastest 1960s muscle cars over the quarter mile. Back in the 1960s, Detroit wasn't just building cars, it was launching weapons of asphalt warfare. The quarter mile was the battleground, and every automaker wanted to rule it. From Ford's fire-breathing Hemis to Chevy's lightweight terrors and Pontiac's dealer-tuned monsters, these weren't just cars. They were factory-built drag strip killers. In today's countdown, we're going deep into the muscle car archives to bring you the 15 fastest production muscle machines of the 1960s, ranked by verified quarter-mile times. No concepts, no legends, just cold, hard numbers from the golden age of American performance. So buckle up, because some of these times will shock you. And if you're a true fan of raw torque and racing history, don't forget to subscribe. Smash that like button and drop a comment telling us which one of these beasts you'd park in your dream garage. This is Muscle Car Masters. Let's hit it. 1968, Shelby GT500 KR. The 1968 Shelby GT500 KR, with KR boldly standing for King of the Road, was one of the final untamed beasts Carroll Shelby put his name on before Ford took full control. It came equipped with the new 428 cubic inch Cobra jet V8, officially rated at 335 horsepower. But anyone who knew their stuff back then understood that number was sandbagged. Real output was closer to 400 horsepower with a neck-snapping 440 pound-feet of torque. It weighed around 3,800 pounds and ran the quarter mile in 15.9 seconds at 91 miles per hour. But numbers alone don't tell the whole story. The GT500 KR featured a functional ram air induction system, a heavy-duty suspension, and that unmistakable Shelby look fiberglass, hood scoops, stripes, and all. This wasn't just a Mustang with a badge, it was a legend that screamed power and exclusivity. Only 1,571 fastbacks were built, making it one of the rarest true Shelby Mustangs from the golden era. What made the KR special wasn't just its straight-line performance, it was the attitude. This car was raw, unapologetic, and rebellious. It stood at the end of an era, the last Shelby before the muscle car landscape started to shift. It was fast, rare, and worthy of the crown. But what's coming next might just blow your mind. Don't blink. 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. If there was ever a car that captured the wild spirit of late 60s muscle, it was the 1969 Pontiac GTO Judge. Designed as a budget-friendly street brawler, the Judge came standard with a Ram Air 3, but true drag strip warriors upgraded to the Ram Air 4, an absolute monster of a 400 cubic inch V8. This engine produced 370 horsepower and 445 pound-feet of torque, breathing through high-flow cylinder heads, an aggressive cam, and a functional cold air intake. It was backed by a close ratio, 4-speed, and a 3.90 rear gear ratio that helped it rocket down the quarter mile in just 13.9 seconds. That time was no joke. With its safe T-track limited slip differential, the Judge put the power down where it mattered off the line. But here's the twist. All that firepower left no room for luxury. Air conditioning wasn't even available with the Ram Air 4 because the engine simply took up too much space under the hood. You wanted comfort, buy a Grand Prix. You wanted street dominance, you bought the Judge. Pontiac only built 6,833 GTO Judges in 1969 and far fewer with the Ram Air 4 setup. That makes this version not just fast, but downright rare. This was the GTO at full volume, built for nothing but speed. If you love rare and wild machines like these, make sure to hit that subscribe button. 1967 Ford GT40 Mark II. It wasn't built to cruise Main Street, it was built to annihilate Ferrari. The 1967 Ford GT40 Mark II was the result of Ford's full-scale assault on Le Mans, and while it wasn't a traditional muscle car, its performance made it impossible to ignore. Under the clamshell rear sat a 289 cubic inch high-performance V8, producing 306 horsepower and 329 pound-feet of torque. What set the GT40 apart wasn't just horsepower, it was weight. Tipping the scales at a featherweight 2,300 pounds, it could sprint through the quarter mile in just 13.8 seconds. Its 0 to 60 time 5.1 seconds flat. That's faster than many cars with nearly twice the displacement. The key was its mid-engine layout and race-bred aerodynamics. Originally designed to destroy Ferrari on the long straights of Le Mans, the Mark II was engineered with endurance, speed, and victory in mind. Between 1966 and 1969, the GT40 won 4 consecutive Le Mans titles, a feat no other American car has achieved since. Only a few dozen GT40 Mark IIs were built, and even fewer survive. For collectors, it's a unicorn. For racers, it's royalty. It wasn't loud or flashy like a GTO, but when it came to pure quarter-mile performance and racing pedigree, the GT40 wasn't just fast, it was a legend. Don't go anywhere, this next part might just be the highlight. (1969) Chevrolet Camaro Z28 REQ RS. Don't let the small block fool you, this Camaro was built to fight above its weight class. The 1969 Chevrolet Camaro Z28 RS packed a 302 cubic inch DZ V8 underrated at 290 horsepower, but realistically pushing over 350 at the crank. Designed to homologate Chevrolet's Trans Am efforts, this high-revving small block loved to scream past 7,000 RPM. Paired with a Muncie 4-speed manual and a 12-bolt rear with 4.10 gears, the Z28 launched hard and never looked back. In the quarter mile, it ran a blistering 13.8 seconds, matching times of much larger big block brutes. What made the Z28 truly special was its handling. The F41 suspension quick-ratio steering box and factory front disc brakes gave it road course agility with drag strip respect. And the RS package that added hideaway headlights, special trim, and serious street presence. This wasn't a boulevard cruiser, it was a machine built to win. At just under 3,100 pounds, the power-to-weight ratio made it dangerous on any blacktop. And it didn't need stripes or spoilers to prove anything. The Z28 was raw mechanical and meant to be driven hard. While other muscle cars went bigger, Chevy went smarter. And in the hands of a skilled driver, this thing could embarrass anything with twice the displacement. (1969) Plymouth Cuda 440. This wasn't a Barracuda for the average Joe. The 1969 Plymouth Cuda 440 was a factory-built drag-strip brawler disguised as a compact A-body coupe. Under its hood sat the legendary 440 cubic inch Super Commando V8, rated at 375 horsepower and 480 pound-feet of torque. Backed by a 4-speed manual transmission and a heavy-duty Dana 60 rear, with a 3.54 or 4.10 gear, this lightweight terror could tear through the quarter mile in just 13.8 seconds. The powertrain wasn't the only thing Hurst had a hand in. This car was hand-built to perform. With factory-installed side stripes, a functional cold air hood, and limited slip differential, it didn't just look mean, it was mean. And here's where it gets crazy. Plymouth only made 358 units of the Cuda 440 in 1969. That's rarer than many Hemi cars of the era. Its short wheelbase and big block torque made it a handful on the street, but at the strip, it was a weapon. Light up the rear tires, dumped the clutch, and it screamed past the finish line before most big blocks even hooked up. This was Mopar's answer to the Camaro Z28, a no-nonsense small-frame car with way too much motor. It was unbalanced, it was wild, and it was exactly what the street racers wanted. Got your own story about a sleeper or forgotten classic? We want to hear it. Comment below. (1968) Pontiac GTO Royal Bobcat. If the factory GTO wasn't fast enough, Royal Pontiac in Michigan had the answer. Their 1968 Royal Bobcat GTO was a street-legal predator built to dominate the quarter mile. They took the stock 400 cubic inch V8 and replaced it with a thundering 428 cubic inch big block, which pumped out an estimated 390-plus horsepower and over 460 pound-feet of torque. With the right gearing and a close ratio, 4-speed, this upgraded goat could storm through the quarter mile in just 13.8 seconds. But Royal didn't stop at engine swaps. They tuned carburetors, recurved distributors, upgraded cams, and dialed in the ignition for maximum low-end punch. They even tweaked the suspension to hook up better at launch, all while keeping the stock GTO's refined interior complete with wood grain trim and vinyl seats. This was the ultimate street sleeper, no wild paint or giant spoilers. Just pure Pontiac power hidden in plain sight. It came with the Royal Bobcat decal on the fender, but on the street the only badge that mattered was your taillights, leaving the competition in the dust. And because these were dealer-modified cars, exact production numbers are unknown, but very few survived. This wasn't just a muscle car, it was an insider's secret weapon, built for those who knew where to buy real speed. Get ready, because the next one takes things to a whole new level. (1969) Dodge Charger, Daytona, 426, Hemi. Built to beat NASCAR's best and outlawed, shortly after the 1969 Dodge Charger, Daytona was Detroit's most extreme aero warrior. This wasn't just a Charger with fins, it was a purpose-built missile. Under the mile-long hood sat the mighty 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, rated at 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. With a 4.10 rear gear, and either a 727 Torque-a-Flight or 4-speed manual, this beast blasted through the quarter mile in just 13.7 seconds at over 105 miles per hour. What set the Daytona apart wasn't just the Hemi, it was the aerodynamics. That 23-inch nose cone and giant 58-inch rear wing weren't for show. They sliced through the air and kept the car planted at triple-digit speeds. This made the Daytona the first NASCAR car to break 200 miles per hour, forcing the rulebook to change forever. But that racing dominance came with a trade-off. The Daytona weighed over 4,000 pounds, and its radical design made it hard to live with on the street. Only 503 units were produced, just enough to satisfy homologation rules, and that makes them unicorns today. The Daytona wasn't pretty, it wasn't practical, but it was built to win, and it did. On the strip, or the oval, this winged Mopar monster rewrote the rules of American performance. (1969) Hurst Oldsmobile, 442. When Oldsmobile wanted to build something wild, but GM's corporate ban blocked engines over 400 cubic inches, In intermediate cars, they turned to Hurst performance. The result? The 1969 Hurst Oldsmobile 42, a muscle car built to sidestep the rules and crush the quarter-mile. At its heart was a massive 455 cubic inch rocket V8, conservatively rated at 380 horsepower and 500 pound-feet of torque. That engine was paired with a specially prepared turbo 400 automatic transmission and a Hurst dual-gate shifter, allowing drivers to bang through gears like a manual. With a 3.23 limited-slip rear axle and wide Goodyear polyglass tires, this golden monster could tear through the quarter-mile in just 13.7 seconds. What made it truly stand out was the look. Dressed in exclusive Firefrost white with gold stripes, it had a functional Ram air hood rear deck spoiler and Hurst badging that let you know it wasn't your average Cutlass. Only 906 units were built, making it one of the rarest and most collectible Oldsmobiles of all time. It wasn't just powerful, it was luxurious, refined, and deadly quick. The Hurst 442 proved that Oldsmobile could play in the big leagues, and with the right performance partner, even bend the rules to make a legend. Coming up is a model so rare most people don't even believe it existed. '69 Dodge Charger RT4 26 Hemi. The 1969 Dodge Charger RT wasn't just muscle, it was menace on wheels. Beneath its iconic Coke bottle body sat Chrysler's most feared engine, the 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, packing a brutal 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque. Matched with either a torque flight automatic or a heavy-duty 4-speed manual and Dana 60 rear axle, this Charger laid down a scorching 13.5-second quarter-mile. But the RT wasn't just about raw speed, it had the bones to handle it. Heavy-duty suspension firm torsion bars and a limited slip, sure grip differential helped it hook up hard and stay planted on launch. And it needed it, because at over 4,100 pounds, this Charger was no lightweight. Still, thanks to that elephant motor under the hood, it moved like a much smaller car. Visually, it was pure muscle-hidden headlights, deep-set grille, and a fastback roofline that oozed intimidation, and that deep Hemi rumble unmistakable. Dodge built just 432 Hemi-powered Charger RTs in 1969, making it a true unicorn among muscle cars. And when it showed up at the drag strip, everyone knew what time it was. This wasn't just a muscle car, it was the street's version of a sledgehammer built to rule the quarter-mile and scare anything parked in the next lane. 1969 Plymouth GTX 26 Hemi. Think of it as Mopar's gentleman bruiser class, on the outside, violence underneath. The 1969 Plymouth GTX was marketed as the executive muscle car, but when ordered with the legendary 426 cubic inch Hemi V8, it became a full-on street predator. That Hemi-packed 425 horsepower and 490 pound-feet of torque, funneled through either a 4-speed manual or 3-speed automatic, and routed to the pavement via a heavy-duty Dana 60 rear axle. With upgraded Hemi-specific suspension-reinforced K-frame and wide rubber, the GTX could rocket down the quarter-mile in just 13.5 seconds, matching the Charger RT step for step. And yet it did all this with more polish. It came standard with high back bucket seats, wood-trimmed dash, and optional power accessories. You could race it on Saturday and take the family to dinner Sunday. Weighing in around 3,800 pounds, it wasn't the lightest Mopar in the garage, but it made up for it with pure torque and refinement. Just 208 GTX hardtops were factory-built with the Hemi in 1969, making it incredibly rare. In today's collector market, It's worth more than a Charger averaging $217,000 at auction compared to $212,000 for its sibling. Quietly, brutal, elegantly savage, the GTX Hemi was the muscle car for the man who wanted it all. From Shelby's snarling Cobra to Dodge's winged Daytona, the 1960s were pure magic for speed junkies. These weren't just fast cars, they were legends built when raw power mattered more than lap times or fuel economy. Each one carved its name into the quarter-mile history books with thunder and tire smoke. Which of these machines would you take to the strip? Let us know in the comments. We read every one. And if you're all about big blocks, launch RPMs, and American horsepower history, make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video. Thanks for watching, Muscle Car Masters. We'll see you on the next run.